Isn't it so crazy how sometimes you come home from a long day at work and you see a box of veal steaks that your mom bought from some lady that she's never met? No? That's just an individual experience for myself. Steak. Everybody wants a good steak dinner. Everybody wants to know the best way to make the best steak dinner. Now, if you're cooking for yourself or just a loved one, it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. But what if you need 10? Cooked exactly how you like, the beautiful crust, and all of them still hot. Steakhouse. You should probably go to a steakhouse. But if you're like me, a cheapskate like me, you'll probably try to turn your kitchen into a steakhouse. So that's what we'll be attempting today. Will it be easy? No. Do I think I could do it? Probably not. 10 steaks. What's the best technique? Pan fry, reverse sear, multi-level toaster. For this many steaks, sous vide is king. So if you have yourself a sous vide and a cooler, this is the best way to keep our temperature perfect. We'll get them all the same temperature. We'll sear them. It'll be super easy because they'll be all done at the same time. Now I know you can get one of those fancy clear tubs, but this fancy cooler works way better. Keeps the water nice and even and hot. You don't lose a lot of heat. So this thing is not working too extra. So let's fill this water up. Let's fill this cooler up with water, hot water. All right. We got this filled with hot water. I'm gonna have these in the water bath for 130 Fahrenheit, which will get them perfectly at a nice medium rare. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this get it warmed up, preheated to about 135, maybe 140. As soon as you put these bad boys in, they're cold, it'll drop the water temperature a good amount. So preheat the water a little bit hotter, and then you could scale it back down to wherever you need to be right after that. So let's plug this in. Set this water at, let's try 140. Once it gets preheated to 140, we'll get them in. Normally, you would want to season these now with salt, pepper, garlic, whatever else you want to use. But these came in these nice vacuum sealed bags. Seems like kind of a waste to tear it all apart and put new bags in. So what we're gonna do is gonna sous vide it in these vacuum sealed bags that came from the box, and then we'll season them and we'll sear them right after they're done the water bath. Again, I'm kind of lazy, so when they come in these packages, it's kind of nice. So our water is preheated to about 140, and let's plop these all in. Oh, that is just enough water. This only brought it down only a couple of degrees. So let's set this down to 130, and we'll let this rock for 2 hours. Here's a fun trick. Plate, get that to kind of submerge everything down. So as that's hanging out, I wanted to make some of those fancy fried, fizzled, onion things. What are they called? Let's grab some onions and get started on that. So usually if you use a large onion, makes things a lot easier. Only got these tiny yellow onions, but they'll do. So what we're gonna want is to slice these in half, peel off the skin. Oh, I'm crying. Should've wore goggles. Got our onions cut in half and peeled. Woo! Trick here is we're gonna make longer strips. So what I wanna do is, here's the onion. We're just gonna cut a slice just here. So that when we put it on the mandolin, we're gonna have long strips. It's halfway and there. And this one I cut the wrong way, so we'll use our mandolin. We'll cut them in about, let's see, 1/8? I don't know, what do they look like? See, when you cut it that way, you get one long string ready to go. I think 1/8 is a good size, maybe a tiny bit smaller. So let's try that. Go 1/8. Probably should use this so I don't slice my fingers off. It's called onion frizzles. They're basically onion rings. I don't know, everyone likes a nice fried onion. Are these called French onions? Like French fries? This is dangerous. Try this at home, but don't cut off your fingers. Got all of our mandolin. Get these into long strips. Get them in a bowl. Just massage them and they should turn into little strings. Usually from here, you're supposed to use buttermilk. If you saw my last video, you know I don't have buttermilk. I use milk and a lemon substitution. So that's what we'll do here. So for this many onions, we'll do about 2 cups of milk. Probably a little too much milk for myself. It's good milk. And 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Mix that up, let that curdle. So after about 5 minutes, your milk should have curdled up a little bit. Pour it in, let it soak with our onions for about at least half an hour to an hour. What does this do to the onion? Couldn't tell you. I don't know. Just mix these around. Be sure not to break your onion. Somebody tell me why we have to soak these in buttermilk, or you let me know. So we'll set this aside, let it soak, and we'll get started on our mashed potatoes. Got about 6 pounds of potatoes here, which should feed 10 people. Usually somewhere around half a pound per person, half a pound per serving. Usually works out pretty good. So a lot of times you would peel these and soak these, get them on a pot of boiling water. I like my skin, so I'm just gonna wash these and start chopping them up. Mashed potatoes are pretty straightforward. Just wanna cut these into even bits. Just wanna make sure you cut them evenly. These are all roughly the same size, so I'll quarter these down. You put these right into the pot that you're gonna be making them in, which makes a little bit more sense instead of crowding the cutting board. There's a lot of potatoes. Now we got our potatoes in our pot, and I want to fill this with cold water and bring this whole thing to a boil. The reason why you want to do it from cold to hot is if you get your water boiling and then you toss your potatoes in, the outside will cook a lot quicker than the inside. So by bringing it from a cold boil, the potato is able to cook evenly from the inside to the out. I'm also gonna toss in about a tablespoon of garlic powder. I love my garlic. We'll do that for the water so the water could kind of soak into the potatoes. And then we'll salt this after. It's a lot easier to control at that point. So fill our pot, just about covers our potatoes. Bring it to a boil, then to a simmer, and then we'll see how long it takes to cook them. It should be about 8 minutes to 10 after it boils. Poke them. Come apart really nicely. They should also be at a 200 Fahrenheit internal temp is when the potatoes are typically done. So we'll monitor that. We're also gonna be making our own Caesar salad. And let's start off with making our croutons. Got some old-ish bread a couple days ago now. Turn this into a bunch of cubes. So don't be wasteful. If you got stale bread, turn into croissants. Croutons. Guess if you got old croutons, you could, if you got croissants, croissant. What am I even talking about? All right, so we're gonna cut our bread into about 3/8 squares. Give us nice size, not too big, not too small. Guess I could do this. Yeah, stack it up. This won't be accurate, but it will save time. So got our squares. Make your own bread, people. So good. We'll preheat our oven to 350 Fahrenheit. And at this point, we're gonna be using our entire stove and grab every single cast iron vessel you would have and get those preheated too. All right, in a large mixing bowl, get all of our bread squares in here. So we'll toss about a half teaspoon of fine salt, about 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 cup of Parmigiano-reggiano, do like a half teaspoon of oregano, half teaspoon of thyme leaves, try some rosemary. Toss that together. About a 1/4 cup of olive oil, drizzle that all on. Toss that again. So once that's all tossed, get in a baking sheet, spread them so they're nice and even. Any of the extra stuff that you're missing, sprinkle that on. So we'll bake these at 350 for about 5 minutes or so. Flip them 5 minutes or so until they're nice, deep, and golden. Here's a good time as any to start processing our lettuce using romaine here. We'll cut off the butts. Are these butts or are these the head? Give these a nice wash just in case there are some bugs in them or dirt or if they fell on the ground. And if your colander is too small, you could use your clean dish rack to drain it that way. Literally just wanted to put my knife away and I pricked my finger. That's why I got this cute little band-aid on now. Anyway, next, we're gonna be making maybe the easiest, if not the best Caesar salad dressing, in my opinion. If you watched the pilot episode, you would know that this is beloved by at least 9 people. What we're gonna start off with is 1 whole egg, 1.5 lemons juiced. So Caesar dressing is usually made with anchovies. I don't really carry anchovies in this house, but I do have hondashi, which is a Japanese fish or seaweed stock of some sort, but it gives you that so similar flavor profile, fishy, tangy. So we're gonna use 1 teaspoon of hondashi, half a teaspoon of fine sea salt, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 2 cloves of garlic. And can you guess the secret ingredient to this? That's right, black garlic. Good job. Plop in got this large clove of black garlic and about a 1/4 cup Parmigiano-reggiano. That's how you pronounce it. And then about a cup of neutral flavored oil. I'm using canola here. And we'll grab our trusty immersion blender and just like our mayo, hold it at the bottom and slowly pull it up. See, so got a pretty big egg. This one's quite runny. Tastes pretty good though. And then let's add a little bit more oil to thicken it up. Tablespoon there. This thing doesn't fall. Taste test. Needs like a touch of salt. That's it. The best and easiest, in my opinion, Caesar dressing. So our croutons are about done. See, about the nice brown golden color. Nice crunch. You want these harder, put them in for a little bit longer. I don't like my croutons too hard, so I think that's good there. Check on our potatoes. Pull one out of here. So this one, 202, 3, 4, 5. These are done. See how these just break up? They're done. So we'll drain out our potatoes back into our pot. We'll put these back onto the stove for about another minute or two. Evaporate any loose water. They're good. So how are we gonna mash 6 pounds of potatoes? By hand? No. I'm much lazy. Gonna be using my trusty stand mixer. KitchenAid, please sponsor me. We'll transfer, I don't even know if this is gonna fit. If not, we got 2 stand mixers. I'm gonna transfer our potatoes into here using a flat beater, and we'll use that to mash our mashers. Is this too full? Yeah, probably. But let's see if this works. Ooh yeah, come on baby. I believe in you. This is gonna make a mess. Let's see. Maybe this will help it. Got this thing doesn't even fit. Oh, not bad. Now this time we're gonna wanna heat up our milk and our butter. So let's get that on now. I'm gonna be using a cup of milk, about half a cup of butter. Why'd I put it in there? Put this on the stove, let this heat up. So now we could salt our potatoes, much like our meat. I like to start off with about half a teaspoon per 1 pound. So we got about 6 pounds here. So that's 3 teaspoons, which is 1 tablespoon. Let's sprinkle that in here as this mashes together. We'll taste later to see where it's at. We are gonna put some Parmigiano-reggiano. Let's do about half a cup, which I don't know if this is enough for that. Do some of that, mix this a bit. So I'm about out of my Parmesan, but you should never run out. Oh, isn't this what this is for? I'm a genius. I really don't know what I'm doing. Now that our milk and butter concoction is done, we can mix this in together. As that is mixing, we can get ready on our fry station for our onions. I'm gonna be using one of my cast iron pans with some oil. And to do this extra fast, you could use double pots. Pots, pans, skillet, whatever. All right, let's give our mashers a taste. Pretty good. Hold on. I need a bigger bite. That's really good. If you want these creamier, you can add more milk, more butter. I like mine a little bit earthy. I don't know what that means. Sounds sophisticated. If you want, you could use the whisk attachment to get these really fluffy. So let's do it. Let's try it out. Never done this in a stand mixer before. Never had to make 6 pounds of mashed potatoes before. Let's see what happens. This seems like it's gonna make a mess. From here, you just cover this up with a towel. Should keep warm for a while. If not, put this whole thing into the oven on the keep warm function or at a 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and it should keep for a good amount of time. For our onions, we're gonna drain these out. Running out of space here. For our onion, 2 cups all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of fine salt, 1 teaspoon of paprika, about 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Whisk this together, and we got our French onion frizzles. I don't know what this is called. Onion strings? That's a good name. French onion string. From here, we got our onions. They've been drained. Coat them in our onion real well. Oh, maybe the buttermilk is what gets these onions sticky. That makes sense. So these are nice and coated. Okay, so we got our oil. 350. Fry our for about 2 to 3 minutes until they're golden. They're onions, they're thin, they don't really need that much time. Once they get like this, they're about done. Just keep going until you've done all your onions. All right, our onions are done. Croutons are done. Salad dressing's done. Mashed potatoes done. Our steak are done. Now it's time to unbag them, slap them on here, dry them out a bit, season them, sear them, and it's game time. Okay, so we got our 10 veal T-bone steaks, which at this point, they really don't look that good. But as soon as we dry these off, some paper towels should do just fine. Get off as much excess water and juice as possible so we get the best sear. So at this point, be generous, good amount of kosher salt. I love my garlic powder. Black pepper, flip them, do the exact same thing. It's basically every single cast iron vessel you got, you want them piping hot. Let's get that to about 500. So we want to use a high smoking point oil, which I'm going to be using some sesame oil here. Grab our steak. For about 30 seconds each side. That's it. Get our second batch going. It's a little hazy in here. And that's it. It's that simple. All you need is a dedicated sous vide setup, an immersion blender for your dressing, a stand mixer for your potato, a deep fryer for your onion, and 4 burners worth of cast irons, skillets to sear your steaks. I really don't see why more people don't turn their kitchens into steakhouses.